What do you do as a living?
Well, when I really, well, I mean, I've done a lot of different things. I've never had a profession. The longest I ever kept a job was about 5 years. I worked for a company, and it was the best job I ever had. I was installing telecommunications electronics for a company called Alcatel.
Okay.
They're a big international French telecommunications firm. Microwave and fiber optic equipment. Basically information superhighway guts, man. That's what it was.
Oh, really?
You know, supercomputers.
Yeah.
In rack mount framing. You know, a phone company. Not like the customer service part, but the square.
Like Southwestern Bell or something?
Right.
Yeah.
The equipment offices, the brain of these networks, these big information networks. Alcatel manufactures those solutions, equipment, and I was an installer.
Oh, really? Wow.
So, I mean, my buddy got me the job. I had just gotten back from Central America. All right, and I was smoking crack down there.
Were you in the military or something? Or?
No, I had an exchange scholarship in high school, and I went down there for 5 months.
Wow.
Then, like 10 years later, a guy I knew down there came up to Minneapolis to do research for his dissertation for law school. And he called me, and I hadn't talked to him in 10 years, man. You know, I hadn't talked to anyone from Costa Rica in 10 years.
Right.
I think it was my way of dealing with it, because it was such an impacting experience. I was 19 years old. It was my first time in a foreign country, and I made a lot of powerful relationships, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very impacting relationships with the people I knew down there.
Right.
I fell in love down there. I was promised to marry a girl down there. Her parents wanted me to marry her. She was beautiful. She was 15 years old. And we never had sex in the 4 months we went together down there. But we were in love, man, you know.
Right.
And I was promised to marry her. But anyway, when I came back to the States, in fact, I was going to stay there and marry her. I called my dad and I said, Dad, I'm going to stay down here and get married. I'm going to go to college. And I came back. I never went back down there. It's funny how you get over, you know, you get over stuff like that quickly, you know. You're on to the next thing. Then I got back, you know, I got with all my old buddies and all this. About 3 months later, I met a girl.
That's all right.
Here that I was to end up being with for 12 years.
Wow.
So, you know what I mean? I mean, like, I just forgot about Lisa and I fell in love with Christy, and we ended up being together for 12 years, man. And it was an unreal relationship. I'll never have another one like it.
Right. Did she end up on the street, or did she?
I have no idea where Christy is to this day. Christy doesn't. She's a very able and beautiful woman. Looking at me today, you probably would never believe that if you could see her or as she was, I don't know what she looks like today, you know. Right. She's beautiful. She's drop dead gorgeous, and she's extremely intelligent. And well, anyway, we fell in love. I was 19, she was 17, and a buddy introduced me to her. He had been in love with her all through high school, and I hung out with him. I knew Matt, and he went into the Navy, and after I got back from Costa Rica, he got out on leave from the Navy, and he got a hold of me in Joliet there, and said he was coming on leave, wanted to hang out. Anyway, he introduced me to Christy, who I actually had met once, and had I knew who she was, but when he said Christy, I was like, well, I don't know who that is.
Right.
And he said, yeah, well, anyway, he described her. I still didn't know. As soon as she walked out of the house when we went to pick her up, I knew who she was because I had interviewed her once. Because I wrote for the school paper.
Right.
And the journalism teacher gave me the assignment to do a story on hairdos, which I thought was a silly assignment, but I made the best of it I could.
Yeah.
So I looked for people in school with the most unique hairdos. She was one of them. She had, you know, short, platinum, I mean, not blonde, but like platinum.
Yeah.
Like was, you know, you got to think this is in 1986. So. But she had short, platinum blonde hair. She was a tall, thin blonde, and she wore like, you know, kind of like the ghost punker look, you know, like whiter. white skin, you know what I mean, and the white platinum hair, and sleek, long, black and white clothes, you know, just real like chic and European looking.
Yeah.
Oh man, she drove me crazy. And I interviewed her for the school paper, you know, and I never really talked to her again after that, you know. But I did that interview with her, and after that in the hall I would always see her, and she kind of hung with this like chic crowd, you know what I mean? And I just, you know, I was just a Joliet nerd, man. And this wasn't in Joliet, this wasn't where I grew up at. This was in South Holland, Illinois, which is a more affluent community than the one I came from.
Right.
So I always felt out of place there anyway. You know, I always felt like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I would never really felt like I fit in anyway, let alone with her, because she seemed like even like a little echelon up from that even.
Right.
But anyway, when she walked out of the house, man, I couldn't believe it. And I was like, wow. You know, anyway, we went to a motel room, started drinking, and he had been in love with her all through high school. And I don't know what happened that night, but something in us just clicked. What it was is she was crazy and I was crazy too. Seriously, I'm being sincere.
Right.
You know, I mean, you know, I've been crazy since I was a kid. To be honest with you, I was an insane little bastard. And she had a very wild streak in her. She was very rebellious. Anyway, we fell in love. And oh boy, man, 12 years of insanity followed. I mean, insanity. We both got, you know, we were out there, man. We were getting real fucking out there with the drugging and the scamming and the trying to maintain our lifestyle. And it got to where she was pretty much running her game, and I was going along with the flow, man, because she had a lot more juice than I did.